Okay, today we're going to be talking about cutting action and pacing. Cutting action is art because whenever somebody's moving, there are some tips and tricks we can use to make sure that that movement is seamless. When in our example today, these two are going to walk down the hallway into a classroom, and there's going to be a cut as they go from the hallway into this, well, not a classroom, an office. When we cut in between action, we want to make sure we don't notice the cut. It should be seamless. We shouldn't see it, and that can be a little bit tricky to do. So let's see, we have, is this the one we're going to start with? No. All right, so right here we have these two walking in and entering this room. Let me start at the beginning, we'll watch. Okay, so we're going to cut from that. That'll be our first shot, and then we're going to cut to this one. And we're going to want that to be as seamless as possible. So let's start with this one. Let me get rid of that down there. All right, I've selected it. Now, I don't want to start, let me just drag the whole thing down here. I don't want to start right at the beginning.
Action.
Number one, because you can hear me say action. So if I drag to get rid of action, that's still not a great starting point. And the reason is they're still, we don't see them moving. So it's kind of a dead giveaway that this is fake. They've stopped. Oh, and now we're going to start moving. You always want to start when they're already in movement. So I'm going to drag that toggle till they're already moving right there. All right, that's my start point. So we'll go right there. It's a much more natural place to start if you're filming action, somebody already in movement. Let's see, let's go till they enter the classroom. So right about there, I'm just going to do Command B and get rid of this part. I'm not worried, I can always readjust the length, make this shorter or longer by dragging it. But that's about where I want it. Now I'm going to add on my next clip where they enter the room. So let's watch this. Okay, and I'm just going to drag that whole thing right here. Clearly, I don't want to start right at the beginning because you can hear action.
Action.
And then they take a while till they move. So just get rid of some of that and we'll see where we're at. All right, you see that action did not overlap well. Let's watch that one more time. Because in here, we stop, when we stop, they've stopped moving. And then we cut to a shot where they're still moving. So the trick in cutting action is you want to go back and forth, and you want this clip to start right where this one stops. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to make this a little shorter as they're in the room a little bit more. So I'll drag it right about there. Still doesn't work, right? So I'm going to make this clip shorter so it ends when they're right about at this point in the room. So let me find, we'll try right about there. All right, so now let's watch. Still a little too much overlap. They're walking in, they feel like they should be farther in the room when we get to this clip. So I'm going to make this one a little bit shorter, wait till they're farther in the room. All right, let's try again. All right, that's pretty close. Still not quite perfect. So I'm just going to drag this a little bit more, and let's try one more time. All right, I'm going to make this one a little shorter. All right, that one was pretty close. So it's just a lot of trial and error, dragging, rewatching, dragging, rewatching until you get it perfect. All right, so that is almost perfect. If you feel like it still doesn't quite work, you can always go in and go frame to frame. Let's see. All right. Make that a little longer, this a little shorter. Okay. All right, well, we'll stop right there. I think that's good enough. So that's cutting action. You always want to cut while people are moving, not while they're still. And you want this shot to match up with this shot. You don't want there to be overlap. So you want where they stop here to be right where they start here. And that is how you can make that action seamless, where you don't notice the cut. It just goes on, and it is perfect. Okay. Next thing I'm going to show you is pacing. So pacing is all about getting your shots to be the right length, so they're not too long, they're not too short. You want them to be just right. You don't want a shot to feel like it's lagging or it got cut off. So we're going to go up here and let's see, we're going to do a conversation. So we have this clip where Shannon is talking to these two guys, and in this clip they respond. So let's start by watching this one.
I don't ever want to go back to a time before we had such high standards for behavior and character.
All right, so we'll stop right about there. Let's drag that on down. And now we're going to get their response, which is going to happen in this clip.
Action. We're glad to hear you say that.
All right, so let's drag that down. We know this is not going to work. Let's watch and see why.
Character. Action.
All right, you may say, obviously we got to get rid of that action, but it still is not going to be right.
Behavior and character.
All right, so the pacing's not quite right. The action is not quite fluid. Let's see, when they look at each other and start nodding, but it's a little bit too long. We've got to cut out some time here.
We're glad.
Okay, so right when they look at each other, I want them to start nodding in this shot. So I'm going to make that a little bit longer. Do they start nodding in this shot? Let's see. They do. Okay. And I'm going to make this a little bit shorter. Let's get a little more into that nod there, because the nod is way too long. All right, let's try.
We're glad to hear you say that.
All right, so that pacing from her speaking and their response is getting more natural.
We're glad to hear you.
All right, this clip is still too long. So let's drag this back to right about here. We can see where the audio stops.
For behavior and character. We're glad to hear you say that.
All right, so that's almost right.
Behavior and character. We're glad to hear you say that.
I think we just need a little bit longer. So let's drag this out, see if we got that pacing just right.
We're glad to hear you say that.
All right, I think that's pretty perfect. So that is pacing. Pacing's especially important in dialogue. You don't want there to be long spaces in between two people talking. It makes it very unnatural. You don't really want to notice the edits or the cuts with action or with dialogue. We want those to be seamless. So that's your little demo on pacing and cutting action.